Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and in this episode of Let's Talk About, I'm going to be talking about breast cancer and what to expect once you've been diagnosed. So I have done a further two videos explaining how I actually got diagnosed with the cancer and what happened. So, but just for a little quick recap, I just woke up with a sore breast. I had very bad sore breast, or shooting pains in my nipple, and so I made an appointment to go and see the doctor. It went away, so I cancelled it, but something told me to reschedule it, so I rescheduled it with our local doctor up here in Two Rocks, and he sent me in for a scan, and that's when it all started. So I'm going to start from what happens after you have a scan. So, of course, if you've got any concerns about your breasts, always go and see the doctor. Now, the way mine was discovered, it wasn't because I found a lump. My breast did feel a bit different to my right one. This was what was a little bit concerning to me. And when I was drying my hair, when I had my arm up in the air, I noticed that underneath my breast looked slightly square. It was slightly square. So, I've always been very diligent. As soon as I turned 50, I've always had mammograms. My last mammogram was April actually this year. I thought it was last year, but it was actually this year. It was completely clear. So nothing was picked up. My lump is 5 centimetres by 2 centimetres, so it's not all by means, it's not a huge lump, but it's not small either. So what happens is once you've done your scan, the doctor rang me, so I had the scan on a Wednesday. The nurse who works at our local doctor was an actual a trauma nurse, so she's really, really smart and clicked on and clever, and I think they knew as soon as they saw my scan that it was cancer. And she rang me and said that they wanted me to go in and have a breast biopsy, and she actually got me in on the Friday. So I had my scan on the Wednesday. They rang me up that day. Now, I can only speak from Australia, okay? I can only tell you what to expect here in Australia. I can't speak for how things are in any other country. So this is purely for those of us who live in Australia, what to expect. So she got me in on the Friday, and at first I was a little bit concerned because I said to her, "Why so quick? Do you think there's something wrong?" And she said, "Oh, no. She said, "But if it was me, I wouldn't want to wait for the weekend." And she was dead right. I didn't want to wait for the weekend. So where you go and have your scans, you can actually have the breast biopsy. So I went in there on the Friday, and I had the biopsy on my breast, which is just a needle to give you, just an anaesthetic in the boob, and then it's kind of like a big gun, and then they stick it in 5 different places around the tumour, and then they take samples out of it and they send it away. The results come back in on the Monday, so I went and saw the doctor at 8:30, and then he said yes, that I did have breast cancer. So I had a little bit of a breakdown. I didn't kind of cry, but I just turned to my husband. I just whimpered, and he just held me. And after that, I sat up and I said, "What's next?" And so he got me in to see a breast surgeon on that Thursday. So when he said that I was going to see a breast surgeon, straight away I thought, great, I can start chemo. And that's not the case. So once I saw the surgeon, he wanted to send me for a heap more tests. And this frightened me because I thought straight away, oh my God, the cancer's spread. Why are they sending me for all these tests? Well, you know what? It's actually very, very normal. But nobody tells you this. That's why I've decided to make this video. So he sent me in for another mammogram, and also I had to have a test because one of my lymph nodes was raised. So I had to have what's called a fine needle aspiration. So it's kind of like a biopsy, but it's a little bit different. It's just when a fine needle is put in. And to tell you the truth, it sounds like they were cutting onions. That's what it sounded like. So of course you get a local anaesthetic, and and then they send away the samples. And so that was the first test that I had from what the surgeon sent me for, was a mammogram and then a fine needle aspiration. So I should also mention too, once you have a biopsy, your boob is black and blue underneath. So mine was underneath, so it was very, very black and blue. I didn't find it painful at all. I've read, when I wanted to find out actually what's involved in a biopsy, I Googled it. Now I'm very careful what I read on the internet, but I just wanted to know what the actual procedure was. So I was expecting all the clicking sounds and everything like that, and the bruising. And some people said it hurt like a bitch, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't even feel the anaesthetic going in. And the anaesthetic, usually anyone who's had anaesthetic knows how painful sometimes that can be. I didn't even feel that. They were absolutely brilliant. They were really, really good. So after that, I had to have a CT scan and a bone scan. So as my surgeon is telling this, my face is getting longer, and I was terrified because I really, really thought that, that he thought that there was something more wrong with me. And also, so when you have the mammogram, usually you have, your boobs squashed in the vice, and they do it on the sides and everything like this. He also had one done that was very, very small, that sat on top of the breast, so he could look straight down through it as well. So he was very, very thorough. So I had a CT scan, and then I also had to have a bone scan as well. So of course the CT scan, I was a little bit nervous of that because I get claustrophobia. It was more like a big donut shape, so it wasn't too bad. So I don't think I really spoke a word actually in that appointment, because I was, and stupid me, decided to pull a tarot card on that day, and I got the Tower, didn't I? So, I scared myself. I haven't actually read the tarot now since that day, since I've been going through. I could quite possibly do it now, but I'll get to that in a later. So I had the CT scan, and with a bone scan, what they do is they give you some nuclear medicine in you, so it actually makes all your bones and everything glow like that, so they can check if the cancer has spread. Now when you lie in for a bone scan, the bloody scan thing is this close to your face, like really, really close to your face, and then it really, really slowly goes down your body, and then it starts spinning around. You feel like a rotisserie chicken, to be honestly, but that's just to check to. And he said to me, the surgeon, that was for the oncologist, so he could make sure what was going on. So I had that done, and then after those tests, I went back to see the surgeon, and he was, because the first appointment he said it was very likely I'd have to have my entire breast removed, and I was just terrified. I'm not going to lie. I was scared. I was just scared of it having spread elsewhere, because I'm really, really happy in my life, and I don't want to die. I've put it simply, I didn't want to die. When I come back to see him, he was very, very positive, and he said, as he walked in and he looked at me, when I was waiting in the waiting room, he saw me and he gave me a big grin, and I thought, oh, that looks positive. And then when I went in and saw him, I was, scared, and he said, oh, I know that look, and he sat down, he said, it's very, very positive, it hasn't spread. And as soon as he said that, I just grabbed his hand and held it. Then I could listen to what else was having to go on. So he said it's... what they're going to do is they're going to give me chemo first. Now, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you'll go straight into surgery and get it removed and then have the chemo. What he wants to do with me is give me chemo first for just over 5 months to shrink it as much as you can. And he's hoping that I might not have to have my entire breast removed, that I can get away with a lumpectomy. But I'm quite happy. If the breast needs to go, it needs to go. I couldn't care less about that. And I've even decided if it does go, I'm not even going to have reconstructive surgery, because I've never liked the idea of having any type of silicone or fake things in my chest. So after I do that, then I have the surgery, and then I have some radiotherapy. So I'm due to start chemo this Friday. I managed to get in before Christmas, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. And I'll be having that every 2 weeks. It used to be every 3 weeks, but they found out with 2 weeks, it's a 90% improvement on killing the cancer cells. So that's really, really good. So my particular type of breast cancer is estrogen and progesterone positive, which means it responds really, really well to chemo. So I will beat this. And I always had, as soon as I heard those words cancer, I thought, I'm not going to die straight away. I'm not going to let it beat me. And that's the positive mindset that I've had, even though I was terrified right up, because really the worst thing is when you get diagnosed with cancer is waiting for the results, waiting to see if it's spread, all that type of thing is very, very hard emotion. I was a fucking wreck for, those few weeks with all the testing. I'm not going to lie. I really, really was scared. So that was really good news. So that's the treatment plan. And I went and saw the oncologist, Now, the oncologist wanted me to have a heart scan because chemotherapy can affect your heart. Now, it might affect it decades later because I'll be 55 in March. My particular cancer is not through the BRCA gene, which was great because I could tell my daughters it wasn't that. It's just purely through my age. Now, I've been eating really, really healthy for the last couple of years because of my kidneys, because, you know, when I was saying that my kidney function was very, very low, and I got them up to stable. And so I actually had to say that when I had my bone and CT scan, because, so if you've had trouble with your kidneys or anything like that, make sure that you actually you say that, because the nuclear medicine won't take as well if your kidneys aren't up to scratch. So mine were, so that was really, really good. So I had a heart scan on Friday. So as I said, chemo can affect your heart because, you know, it's in the left breast. So, and like I said, it can happen decades later. Now, it's quite funny because a few years, probably 2-3 years ago, there was another doctor, and she was just, she was so annoying. Every time you saw her, she would mention your weight. You need to lose weight. You know, I mean, like, freaking hell. Any woman that goes menopause will know how hard it is to lose weight. And she was just really annoying. So we ended up changing doctors, actually. We went somewhere else. The other doctor I go to in Turox now is that they've only been here a couple of years and they're fantastic. But I'll get back to that later. So she said to me that I had a slight heart murmur, and I should have they call it a heart echo test. And when I rang up the hospital, it was like $500, and we just couldn't afford it. So I just left it. And I mentioned to my mum that she said I had a very slight heart murmur, probably nothing to worry about, but to have the test. And Mum said that her mum had that, and I said, well, what did she do? And she said, well, she didn't do anything about it. So I thought, oh, okay then. But anyway, all this is bulk billed. So I should go back though, that the breast biopsy, and this is another thing too, when they say that you're going to have a breast biopsy, ask them to bulk bill it. Now, for some reason, the doctor at first, he didn't bulk bill this one, and they haven't got any signs at the front when you go in, and saying that it's going to cost money. It was $480 to get that. Now, I only had to pay $100 out of that because Medicare covered it all. So what I'm telling you is all from a public patient point of view. I've got no private health insurance whatsoever other than optical and dental. So luckily we had the money to pay for that, and we actually got we got it within 24 hours back from Medicare. We got our money back, so that was really, really good. So when you're going for all these tests, make sure that they are bulk billed. Just ask them to bulk bill them. There's no shame in asking that. So that was the cost for the breast biopsy. Now, because the surgeon, when he got me in for another mammogram and to have the fine needle aspiration, that didn't cost me anything because he bulk billed it. Now, the first time I saw him, it was a $230 charge, and I think we got about $77 back from that. And then the second time I saw him was $130, and then we got $44 back. So I'm just letting you know that there are, at first, there will be a few out-of-pocket expenses, but nothing really that's too prohibitive, So don't worry if you are a public patient. Medicare's got you back, I'm telling you, it's got you back. So the heart scan, so I ended up getting a heart scan, and of course it was bulk billed, so I didn't have to hear anything now, or pay anything. That's what I meant to say. Now, I've also, I'm supposed to be having a teleconference with him on the Thursday. They're supposed to send me, this is the oncologist, send me a link. So I suppose he might be talking about the results of my heart scan. So because chemo can affect it, they need to make sure that you haven't got any underlying problems. So it'll be interesting to see if even I have got a heart murmur, because you really have to shop around for a doctor. If you're not happy with a doctor, all I can say is keep on going until you find one, truly, truly do. I was very happy with the doctor that I had in a town called Yanchep, which is about a 15-minute drive away from him, but the reception staff were atrocious. When I was going through my kidney problems, he told them to fax a report off to the dietitian. So a week later, I hadn't heard anything. So I rang them up, and they haven't even bothered doing it. And even now, getting my medical records transferred twice, I paid for it, and I'm going to check again to see if it's up there. They still hadn't sent it. So, they were hopeless, and that's why I actually swapped doctors, The reception staff here, my new doctor, is absolutely fantastic. So I'll find out, I suppose, on that teleconference how the heart scan went. And then what they do is halfway through chemo, they will give you another heart scan to make sure it's not affecting it. And if it is, they can correct, excuse me, these things with medication. So it's nothing to worry about. You know, if it happens, they can correct things. The whole point of it is to nip it in the bud before anything dangerous starts. So that's that. Then on Thursday, this Thursday coming, I have to have what's called, and this is from the oncologist now, so the oncologist sent me for a heart scan, and I also have to have what's called having put a clip around the tumour. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty much like a biopsy, probably a needle. So what the clip is for, it'll show the surgeon how much the tumour has shrunk, so he knows what to cut out when it comes time for my surgery. So if they tell you that you need a clip put in your tumour, don't worry about it, because it's only like a local anaesthetic, and that's what they'll do. So that's another test that you have. So to cap it off, you'll have your scan. Possibly you'll have your biopsy, a breast biopsy. I had a biopsy in my lymph node because it was raised and cancer has spread to that lymph node, but he said that's nothing to worry about. That's often the case. Sometimes for some women it spreads to all 5 of them, so I've just had the one. Then you will see the surgeon again, and then he will send you for some more tests. So he sent me for the mammogram, and he sent me for the lymph node one, because funny enough, when I had the scan, they looked at the lymph node, and the scan people said, oh, that's nothing to worry about, but my surgeon obviously thought there was. So because in his office he performed an ultrasound on me, so that's why he sent me for the fine needle aspiration. And look, it didn't hurt, I mean, I have got a very high tolerance to pain, but I did not feel a thing. So don't go in there scared thinking it's going to hurt. It really, really doesn't hurt. If you are one of those people who do feel pain, perhaps you can take some painkillers before. They did encourage you to take painkillers after it. I did, but honestly, I didn't need it. So, I didn't even bother with a second biopsy. I didn't take anything. After that, the oncologist is the one who's going to want the CT and the bone scan. He will want a heart scan. And of course, the clip, really, I suppose the surgeon could have thought about having the clip, but I mean, that's why they work together, So that's the kind of tests that you will go through, all right? And then you can finally start bloody treatment. So there's a lot of tests that you've gone through. Now, if you are in any way shy at all these tests are going to make you shy. I could quite happily stand in the front yard with no top on, and it wouldn't bother me. Now, I've never been shy. It's quite funny. 32 years ago, when I was giving birth, I was really, really hot with my first daughter, and I stripped off completely. I couldn't stand it, anything on me. And then the nurse said, when she handed me my daughter, she said to me, oh, you caused quite a scene in the delivery room. And I said, why? And she goes, because you were completely naked. I said, you're kidding. And she goes, yeah, I know. They see the worst part of you, and they're worried about a pair of boobs. I kid you not. So if you're shy, you won't be shy after all of this, believe me. It's the same if any of you have had kids. If you're shy before that, once you've had children, you're never shy again. So that's what happens. So then my treatment, so when I went back to the surgeon, that's when he said straight away that I'll have it's about 5.5 months of chemo, then I'll have the surgery, then I'll have to have radiotherapy, and then I have to go on hormone therapy. Now, I was a bit dubious about hormone therapy because I think I've been in menopause for about 3 years because I've had hot flushes for about that long. That's the only thing that I had. The menopause symptom was putting on weight and hot flushes, just like my mother. That's all we ever had. So I used to take evening primrose for the hot flushes 3 times a day, and that controlled them. So and I didn't want to take hormone replacement therapy because I heard increases the risk of breast cancer. Now, some women just have to have it. If you are one of those women that suffers all sorts of menopausal symptoms and you need it, then by all means do it. But there is a risk, and I didn't want to do it. So when he told me, and because I only just had the hot flushes, I mean, I could get away with it, that was fine. So when I found out that I had to have 5 to 10 years of hormone therapy, I kind of freaked out a little bit. So I did a bit of Googling on the Breast Cancer Australia, and what they said, hormone replacement therapy and hormone therapy are completely different. So what hormone therapy does it kind of balances your hormones in it. It's to make sure that you don't get cancer again. Actually, I should actually read out what it was, so you know. I'll just pause it. All right. So what it is hormone therapies are drugs used to treat hormone receptor positive breast cancer, which is what I got. Okay. So hormone therapy is given as an oral medication. It's usually taken daily for at least 5 years after the completion of your other breast cancer treatment. So that's the surgery, the chemo, etc. Okay. So hormone therapy is sometimes confused with hormone replacement therapy, but they are completely different. So hormone therapy works by stopping estrogen or whatever from feeding the breast cancer cells. It has been found to be very effective in reducing the risk of the cancer spreading to other parts of the body or of a new breast cancer developing in the same or other breasts. So some woman taking, now the drug that's called is tamoxifen, I think, for 10 years is better than 5, and that's what they said. It could be 5, it could be 10, and that your medical oncologist will be able to talk to you about whether continuing it beyond the 5 years could be a benefit to you. And funny enough, the side effects are menopausal symptoms such as hot flushes. Now, my hot flushes, believe it or not, funnily have stopped. I haven't taken anything. I haven't taken any for a month now, because when I found out that I had it, I decided I wouldn't even take that. Can be anxiety, sleep disturbance, and fatigue. So that's kind of pretty much what my menopausal symptoms were. Now, sometimes, of course, it can also cause pain, joint stiffness, and, to be blunt, vaginal dryness. So just letting you know what kind of side effects you can have. If you're finding it difficult to manage, you can talk to your oncologist. So some hormone therapy can cause bone density, so that's why they recommend that you have the bone density scan, which is what I've had before starting your treatment. So that's why I've had that bone scan, so they can keep an eye on it. Now, funny enough, about 6-7 years ago, I was diagnosed with some arthritis in my hip, but nothing got said to me about that. So I'm just wondering even if that was true. You might also have to take some calcium and vitamin D. Now, I know my levels were pretty good because my husband... funny enough, he spent a lot of time in the sun, had to take vitamin D. So that's what it is. So it's not actually the hormone replacement therapy. It's just helping you to stop the cancer from coming back. So don't freak out if the oncologist says that to you. Now, as I said, because we're very lucky with Medicare, I don't have to pay for my chemo at all. There's no out of cost pockets for me. I did originally have to pay $330 to see my oncologist. And from that day on, from now onwards, I don't have to pay him a cent. So it was just a one-off cost. So far, it's cost me $480, which ended up costing me $100. $380 again, that only cost me $100, all because of Medicare. Medicare is freaking wonderful. It really, really is. So we're very lucky in Australia, I can say that. So I don't have to pay for anything else for my treatment, you know. Maybe radiotherapy, I don't know when that comes around, once of that. Now, I did have to get some tablets as well. So what you can suffer from some constipation when you start chemo. So I've got all this on scripts. I've got this big bottle of this type of liquid, oral medication you can take if I get constipated. They've given me some painkillers if I need it, because the next, I think either the second or the third day, on the second and the third day, I will have to take some steroids after I have my chemo on Friday, and the following day after my chemo on a Saturday, I have to inject myself with a needle because it's to boost your immunity, but it can make your bones swell up, so it can cause some pain. So they've given me some painkillers for that. So I've got some painkillers, I've got some steroids, and they've given me some tablets for nausea in case the chemo makes me feel nauseous, which I don't think it will. Funny enough, the oncologist asked me if I suffered from morning sickness. I thought morning sickness was a figment of the imagination because I never had it with my first daughter, but by God, did I have it with my second daughter. So I thought that was quite funny. But I don't get sick with anesthetics or anything like that, so I'm not really presuming there is going to be a problem for me when it comes to nausea, but I've got the tablets there if I need it. Steroids doesn't worry me because I often had to take steroids from my asthma because am asthmatic, although I very rarely get it now, but I was very, very sick as a child and right up till I was around 30. I went away, and then my 40s it hit again with a vengeance, and now I'm in my middle 50s, and I've been okay. I probably have a puffer once a year or something like that. So I've got all my medication there ready, so that's what I've got to have. What else can I tell you about? Now, also, I'm also going to touch on rude medical staff. And the reason this is quite funny, actually, that I'm going to touch on this, because I just read an article on the news about a journalist that her and her sister both got breast cancer diagnosed on the same day within hours of each other. And she was talking, and I was reading in the comments, and she was talking because she was a public patient in New South Wales, that there was a problem with her mammogram. She hadn't heard anything for 2 weeks, so she thought everything was fine, but she thought she'd ring up because she hadn't heard anything. And there was actually a problem with it, and no one contacted her, and the person on the phone was very uppity about it all, you know. So it's just bullshit, you know. When you're going through something that is threatening your life, you know, you're very vulnerable and very upset. Even though I was quite positive, but then weeks waiting for all the test results really made my anxiety rise like you would not believe, and anybody can understand that. Now, the first tests that I had done through the surgeon, the mammogram and the lymph node biopsy, he marked them as urgent. Okay, he wanted the results ASAP. Now, when we spoke to the lady, now the clinic where I go to the surgeon is one floor up, and the clinic that you go down is called Western Radiology. It's on the same. It's in the same building. Even when I get my clip done, I can get that done in the same building, which is another thing I'll touch on in a bit too. So, and we told that to her. Now, she was an older woman. She'd be in her 60s. And she said, oh, no, it'll be about a week. And my husband said, no. He said, the doctor wants it urgent. No, it's going to be in a week. You have to go for me. You've got to go down through there. Your husband can't come with you for the COVID. Now, this was the first time anyone had said to me that Aaron could not come with me because of the COVID. Now, here in WA, we've been COVID free for ages. We still have the distancing and stuff like that. And I personally think, because my husband is covered in tattoos, that she judged him looking at him. I really, really do. Because I look at him and I think either that he's unemployed or something like that. I mean, put it this way, I don't have to work because he earns enough for the both of us, okay? So, you know, he's actually in quite a high, he's an actual manager, okay? So he's in a high position in the company, you know, he's an actual manager. So he couldn't come with me, so that pissed me off for one thing. But the rudeness of her was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. If someone is fucking rude to you, complain. Because what we did, we went back up to the surgeon and we told the receptionist, who is absolutely beautiful, that how rude she was, and how, even though we told her that he marked these as urgent, you know, that she was adamant it was going to take a week. Now, I did actually say that it was urgent to the lady who did the mammogram and who did the biopsy on my lymph node, and they said straight away that they would make sure that the doctor gets them straight away. Now, in the time that I went upstairs, they already had the report. So she looked on the computer and she goes, oh yeah, look, the results that are there, I'm just waiting for them to send the report now, but I'll make a note of it. Okay. So the second time that we went to see the surgeon to get the results from all of this, she come and sat next to me and she said, you know what, the person who runs the Western Radiology, I don't know what they call the head administration or that, she come down to give some wine to all their customers. And she said to her, you know, if you've got anything, and she said, well, actually, and so she put in our complaint, and we were the second people on the same day to put in a complaint about this person. So this woman now is going to look into it. So don't feel any hesitancy whatsoever to complain if someone is bloody rude to you, because it's just not on, you know, just not. Every other test, Aaron could come with me. And even with my chemo, he asked, and they said they'll put me in first, get me all set up, and then he could come in and sit with me. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And she was just so bloody rude. And we found that a lot of receptionists can be really, really rude. And that's another thing too I want to touch on. When it comes to the clip, the oncologist said that I would have to go into the city. Now, from where I live to Two Rocks to get into Perth City, you're looking at a 2-hour round trip. And I said, well, isn't there anywhere local? Can't we have it done at the Joondalup Hospital? So where I'm having all this treatment, including the heart surgeon, is in Joondalup, and that's probably about 20-minute drive, so it's pretty good. It's not too far. And he said, every time I ask for that, they send them up to the city. And I thought, no. So he gave all the paperwork to his receptionist, and I said, look, can you think you can find somewhere that we can do it in Joondalup, because I don't want to travel to the city. Lo and behold, it's in Shenton House where my surgeon is. It's the floor above him, so I can go into Joondalup. So if they are telling you that you need to travel quite far to have certain tests, just ask the person who's making the bookings if there is somewhere local that you can go. Okay, so I'm really, really lucky. Everything's in Joondalup. 20-minute drive. I don't have to travel to the city. It's like a 2-hour bloody drive there and back because of the traffic. Because of the distance. I mean, my husband works in Canning Vale, so from Two Rocks to Canning Vale, it's an hour and 15-minute drive every day, there and back, and of course sometimes it's more because of the traffic. There's always an accident, on the road and things like that. So don't feel frightened in asking for getting somewhere local. There's one thing that I have noticed when it comes to the chemo. There was a couple of people, actually, funny enough, the lady who had the bone scan, her young daughter was going through exactly what I've had. But she lives in Margaret River, which is a 4-hour drive away. So she has to travel 4 hours, and I presume she's got to do it every 2 weeks like me, just to have chemo. So sit there, and it's a 2-hour, every time you have chemo, it's 2 hours. I heard at first it was 3, but they've got it down to 2 hours now. And then she's got to travel back another. I think that's totally unacceptable. I think that the government and powers that be need to have cancer treatments such as chemo. They need to have it local. I mean, it'd be great. Why can't I go to my local doctor's office? I mean, they've got all the surgery rooms at the back where they do minor procedures. And because there's a nurse there, why can't I go there and have it instead of having even to travel, I mean, your first chemo, in my doctor's words, said it'll be a piece of piss. That's exactly what he said. And then afterwards, I'll probably find that I'll get tired. I might be a little bit achy, and just to relax, and put your feet up. So as it goes on, I'll probably, I'm going to be like that. And of course, I'm going to lose my hair. So you have to, just ask if there's anywhere close that you can go for treatment. And I don't know about this. I'm even thinking of starting up a petition or I don't know what I'm going to do. But I think it's ridiculous that women have to travel that long. And there was another woman and her friend who were both crying when I went in the office for my final sorry, I just had a Abode update, for goodness sake, just pop up. And so obviously they didn't get good news. And Aaron heard where they were from. He said that's even further away than Margaret River. You're looking at a good 5-6 hours that they have to travel to. So I think it's ridiculous that if people who are going through chemo, that they need to travel a long, long way. I think, especially in rural towns, I think that the government needs to do something and set up that people can have their bloody chemo treatment, particularly with COVID. Because I did ask about having to wear a face mask, when... because your immune system can go down, so you have to be careful of colds. And he said not to worry about it. But I don't know. I think I still might buy one because I was very aware of it when COVID was running rampant. Because I'm asthmatic, I always had problems with my chest, so I stayed home. So I think I will invest in a mask. But I just think that chemo should be available to any, just locally. I'm very, very blessed that I only have got a 15-20 minute drive away to get it done. But, Australia is a big country, and there are a lot of rural areas around and small country towns. I mean, my town has got 2,500 people in it, so it's not small, but it's not overly huge. But, it's got all the amenities here, which is fantastic. But there's a lot of rural towns that don't have that. And I did read when the COVID was really, really bad that a woman who she was very young too. It seems like if you have breast cancer when you're young, it's more savage and more aggressive than when you're an older woman such as myself. And her treatment had to stop because they wouldn't let anyone in because of the COVID, So I think this should have woken people up, you know. So I don't know, I might start a petition or something like that, but I really think it's vitally important that women can access their treatment without having to worry about travelling excessively, because it's a mind fuck when you get cancer, you know. It is, you know, all sorts of thoughts prey in your head. So, and that's totally normal too, you know. If you feel like screaming and ranting and raving and crying, then by all means do it. But if you are calm, because I've had a few people say to me that I'm very strong and I'm very positive, I always knew it was important to have a positive mindset when you're facing something like this. But I had my moments, and I think the moments was the results. I think waiting for results is one of the hardest things that you're going to have to do when you're going through cancer. And I know when all my treatment stops, and that the first time that I have to go back, because I mean, I'm presuming I'll have to go for yearly checkups. It will be yearly checkups, because my stepdaughter had it at 2 years old, and she still goes for yearly checkups as well. So I'm presuming that's going to happen, and every time my yearly checkup comes on, I'm going to freak out, and that's just totally normal. It is what it is. So don't feel ashamed of being frightened. Don't feel ashamed if you crumble up in a little ball and fall on the floor. It's all natural, but you must let it out. Let it out. Let it out, and then take each day as it comes. Because I get very nervous, because with the heart scan come up, my heart was racing. And funnily enough, the young man, he's 32, because he couldn't believe that I had a daughter the same age as him. He had childhood cancer 11, and he was on chemo for 2.5 years. My stepdaughter was on it for 2 years, and what they do is they actually put a little port in the chest to put the chemo in. And we're talking about the heart, and he said it was racing a bit. He said, but now that he just talked me all through it. He was absolutely lovely. So I've had to say that the people who were doing all the blood tests and all the other tests that I had to do were absolutely gorgeous people. I mean, I can't stress enough how nice everyone has been to me. Even my local doctor rang 4 times in the 1 week to make sure that I was doing okay. So I've had a lot of support, and of course I've had a lot of support here from just all my wonderful subscribers and complete strangers on YouTube. It's been absolutely wonderful. I feel very, very supported. And of course my friends, Nina, Evie and Nat, have all been absolutely, I can't even describe it, but I've just had all the support that I've needed. And I think, and for me because I've always been a hermit, I've always been private, but I've learnt what cancer has taught me now is that it's okay to reach out to other people. It's okay to lean on other people. It's okay to talk about what I've got. Even yesterday, I went across the road, a lady across the road, only a young couple. She often gets me eggs from the farm, and I always give her the egg cartons, and I told her what was going on with me. And the reason I did that is because she said, how's things going? I said, well, actually, you're going to see me looking pretty sick because I've been diagnosed with breast cancer, and of course, they freaked out and everything. But then, in the same breath, and I said, and I told them I'll be okay, but in the same breath, they said, if you need any help, if you need transport, if you need to go shopping, so don't be afraid even to tell your neighbours what's going on, because I knew, because I walk every day, and, I'm going to be wearing, I got some, I brought some headscarves and things like that. I've got all that ready to go for when I lose my hair. I know that she's going to think, shit, when they see me like that. They're going to, because I'm having, it's important to exercise as well while you've got cancer, even while you're having chemo, to keep your bones strong. So, if I saw her like that, I'd be very concerned, and I know she's very caring. I know she would be. So, both the neighbours across the road know what's going on. So, just don't be afraid to reach out to people. I've heard Olivia Newton-John say that she considers her cancer as a gift. Well, I don't. It can go fuck itself, I don't think it is a gift. I've always, since I've been with my husband, I've always been, because Aaron's my second husband, I've been very happy with my life, very grateful for what I got. I didn't need cancer to come in to let me know that. Do you know what I'm saying? I already knew what I had, and I'm grateful for it. But I think what it's taught me, because, there is always a lesson in life's challenges. I think what it's taught me is to come out of my hermit. Okay, not to be such a hermit, is to reach out to other people, is to talk to other people, to be open about what's happening with me. And that's what it's taught me. It's taught me that it's okay to talk about. And this is why I make these videos, because I want other people, other women, to be aware of what to accept. Because once you get your cancer diagnosis, well, obviously you probably all thought like me, you just go see a doctor and you start, well, it's not. You got to do all these battery of tests, and there's reasons why you have these tests, but none of that's explained, and even the local doctor said, he gave me a, breast cancer WA and all that. But I was still hesitant to look at these websites because you always hear the worst case scenarios. So if I wanted to know something specifically, so I wanted to know what happens during a breast biopsy, so I Googled that. I didn't want to know, about complications or anything. I just wanted to know. And it's the same with the hormone therapy now. I wanted to know about that because the reason I didn't take it in the first place, even though I only had hot flushes, because I heard it, it was an increased risk of breast cancer, and I still freaking got it. So, no matter what your diet is, your lifestyle, anything like that, you can be super healthy, you can still get it, or you can be someone that smoked all their life, drank and whatever, and it never touches you. It's just the luck of the draw. That's all it is. You can do many, many things to try and prevent it, and you can still get it. So, if you get it, don't blame yourself, okay? Do not blame yourself. It's just shit happens. It truly, truly does. So I think that's what cancer has taught me now, is to be more open. Even on Saturday, here in Australia, you often have Christmas parties for your work, and because there was a Christmas party for my husband's work, and I didn't go last year. I didn't want to go. That's just me being a hermit. This year I went. Because I thought, no, I'm not going to be, I'm going to be more outgoing now. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do things. When it comes to my birthday next year, I'm going to have a bloody big party, I think. I'm just going to celebrate more, and I think that's what it's taught me. I've got to just get out get out more and just be more open, and that's what I'm going to do. That's what it's taught me. So, yeah, I think I've had a list of what to write, but I just really wanted to put this one out there because there is a battery of tests you've got to go through, and it's just perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal. I'm going to actually put down a link to where you can get some headscarves here in Australia, because that's another thing. I've got this groovy little Rastafarian type one here with with some tie-dye bands and stuff like that. It was actually as a set of two. I've got another one here with a little cap, because when you do wear hats, you can your head can be might be a little bit sensitive, so you can put that on first and put on the scarf so it stays on. They sent me a free one. I've got another. This was a set as well with a cap, and the scarf goes over it, so when I go for walks. And this is another type of a headband thing to wear with a scarf, and that was a set as well. So they're very, very, that was, this two were the most dearest, is $23. Everything else was around the this was $5. I think this was $12.95. Very, very cheap, very affordable. And even if you haven't got going through cancer treatment, actually Nina, she come to visit me yesterday, and she took the link because she loves to wear headbands and things like that. So I'm going to put a link down there. They're based in Sydney. I ordered it on the 6th of December, and I actually got it on Sunday, which is, this Sunday that's just spent. What day is it today? It's the 11th, isn't it? So I got it on the, I can't think. On the 12th. Stupid me. On the 12th. So anyway, but I got it on it was the 6th of December, and then I got it on the 13th. So it's actually ready for me when I start the treatment. As you can see, I've already shaved my head. I had it dyed blue, but the blue's coming out. Thought I'd give my head a last hurrah before I lose it all. So when you're looking for chemo headwear, and that's why I'm going to put this link down there, some of the prices are just disgusting. Hey, there was one, because my husband said he'd pay for a wig for me. I didn't like the idea of a wig straight away. For one thing, I've always had short hair, so that wasn't for me. And I looked on a Perth website, and this lady, she said, I want these, people who suffer from hair loss, whether through cancer or that disease where you don't have any eyelashes or eyebrows or hair at all. I can't pronounce it. It starts with an A. And that's like $380, $600 plus for a wig. And honestly, you're only going to be wearing it, I don't know, for only a few months. I don't know how long it'll take, 6, 8 months, whatever it takes, sort of thing. So that's why I just went with the headscarves. Actually, now touching on hair loss too, there is a machine that you can actually have. It's a cap that they put on your head, and it freezes the blood flow to your hair follicles, so it doesn't fall out. But apparently, it's like a major head freeze, like the worst that you can ever have, and not many people can handle it. The oncologist said to me, "Did you want to do that?" Now, I actually had longer hair the last time I saw him, before I cut it. And he said, "But you've got very fine hair, it might not work on you, and there's about a week and a half wait." And I said, "No, I don't want to wait for that. I don't care if my hair falls out, for goodness sake. And I want to start the treatment." So I can't believe that some people might put off their chemo for a little bit later just for the sake of a bit of hair. It's not worth it, people. Who cares? You've got wonderful, beautiful scarves and head stuff that you can wear now. So don't worry about that. But if you are, if I had hair down to my waist, maybe I would try it. I don't know. But, once it gets really patchy and all falls out, I'll just get my husband to shave it all off, and that's what I'll do. So, so there is that option if you want to, but I think if you can start treatment straight away, start the treatment. So I'll leave it at that, but I just wanted you to be, for women who have had this unfortunate diagnosis, that you will have to go through a lot of tests. It's not because they're thinking your cancer has gotten worse or anything like that. It's because they need to just dot all the I's and cross the T's to make sure everything else is going okay in your body. So that's why they do it, okay? And if there are any questions that anybody wants to ask, put it in the comments below. My doctor always tells me if I would just want to chat, just to come up there and have a talk to them and sit in with them. They've been really, really good. The support's there. Breast cancer is more, there's more awareness of it now. Of course, everyone thinks the word cancer and immediately you think it's a death sentence, but it's not. What I've got, if you have to have breast cancer, it's one of the better ones to have, because it's one of the ones that's very easy to beat. Sure, I'm going to have a battle ahead. What I'm doing is I'm giving myself a whole of next year, starting from Friday, to get over it, to go through all the treatment, and then the following year in 2022 of getting my body back into tip-top shape as much as I can. So I'm giving myself a 2-year plan. So be very gentle with yourself, okay? There's going to be days you feel like shit, go with it. There's going to be other days you're going to feel on top of the world. I still, occasionally, I think, now, bear in mind that I've suffered from depression, I think 3 times I sunk into a depression since I've been diagnosed. And I just go with the flow. If I'm feeling down, I go with the flow. I don't, and then the next day I'm fine again. So, you're going to have these very up and down moments, and it's totally normal. All right, it's totally normal. So don't be too hard on yourself. You feel like shit. Just treat yourself. Do whatever you want to do. Put your feet up, watch TV all day long. Don't worry about the housework or anything like that. Nobody cares if you're dead in 100 years if there was dishes in your sink. Who gives a shit? Even I, who have always been teased by my older stepdaughter of having a clinically clean house, didn't wash the floor. I wash it every week, and I think I let it go for the month. In the end, my husband actually did it for me. I just couldn't be stuffed. I didn't want to do it, Now I'm back to normal. I'm clinically clean again. So, just don't let the little shit worry you, okay? Just take each day as the gift that it is, and you will be fine. Do not think that what you've got is going to kill you straight away. Think positive, okay? Think positive, and you'll beat it. You'll beat it like I will, all right? So until next time, this is Tracy. Take care, everyone. And also I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, okay?